Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the reparenting course, Nurturing Your Inner Child course. And today we are finishing module 2 as we will be focusing on establishing the attachment with a mother figure, but rather at this point focusing on the challenges that may arise while doing so. And then we will also discuss some legitimizing emotions, talking about containing your emotions. And of course, at the end, within the practical session, we will be walking within the labyrinths. It will be a wonderful, wonderful session. Welcome. This part I'm making available public. Welcome to watch. Welcome to learn more about what challenges can arise within your forming attachment with your mother figure. Welcome. And of course, remember, if you want to learn more and to benefit from the whole course, welcome to register for the reparenting course altogether. I'm going to share my presentation now. The birthing of a new life, part 2. Birthing of a new life, the attachment, the formation of the attachment with a mother figure. But this time we will be focused on the challenges itself. One of the major ways, one of the first challenges that the person can experience will be in the form of a fetus while being in the womb of the mother. And that's about the mother who would think about the abortion. It's interesting to know, we don't have, of course, scientifically proven ways to figure out what did the fetus feel, what were the fetus sensation when the mother would consider abortion. But there are instances where people would do this during the rebirthing, during the practice of the lulling that I told you about, the actual physical process where you get to swaddle a person, and then there is a new form of rebirthing experience. It's a wonderful new rebirthing process that I am qualified to lead. People actually remember that their parent, their mother, was thinking about doing the abortion. In 2015, Dr. David Prentice, the vice president of the Institute of Charlotte Lozère in USA, actually talked about the fact that unborn babies, unborn fetuses, basically what fetus is, unborn babies, actually feel the pain much earlier than it was considered to be at that moment in 2015. It was considered that babies start feeling pain or consciously connecting to the pain at the 24 weeks of pregnancy. Dr. David Prentice actually said no, it actually can occur earlier. The thalamus, right, the part of the brain that's responsible for the feeling of pain. We're actually going to talk about pain later on as we talk about legitimizing emotions. But a thalamus that's responsible for connecting the human nervous system to the pain actually is formed by the 8 weeks of pregnancy. So it's important to start noting that if a mother had any, and at this point, it's important to note we are not focusing on whether it was done intentionally or not. It doesn't matter. The mother had to go through certain processes herself. This is, again, not a psychotherapy session where we tend to blame or assign blame to anybody. This is not whatsoever. It's about talking openly and honestly about what happened while we were forming, what happened while we decided to come back to Earth, what happened while we were birthing. And it's interesting to note that if a mother thought about abortion or even discussed about doing it, actually went, she herself experienced the lack of trust in the world around. And that emotion would transcribe, would pass on to the child. So within the deep subconscious, this person, this fetus that will grow up to be, might be any one of us, right? Most of the time, parents would never tell the children, oh, you know, I consider to do an abortion. Nobody talks like that. Nobody, usually, okay? Sometimes people do talk like that, and that's considered to be psychologically unstable and pathological. But in general, within the subconscious, there may lay a feeling that I am not needed in this world. There is no trust in the world around me. There is no trust to life. And it would show within the actions of trying to stay invisible, trying to hide, trying to become invisible, trying to get away from life, right? Addictions, all types of addiction can tie into this because it's a way to avoid life, okay? People who do survive, babies, fetuses that do survive these thoughts of abortion, the abortion threat, are children who will use the rest of their life to kind of try to prove to their parents, guess what, mom, I am not a mistake. Guess what, mom, I was worth the life, okay? Again, over here, the emphasis is not on the mom. Over here, the emphasis on figuring out if this is something a part of you, then that's something you can work with, as we're going to work within the practice today. We have an amazing drawing waiting for us. So that's something to keep in mind. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to? Do you notice that about yourself? Do you notice that you tend to kind of escape life? You tend to look for something else, okay? And the goal here would be to bring forth the idea, trusting life again, okay? Also, when the fetus gets a message that I may have to stop your life because I don't have enough resources, the fetus may get this apprehension and anxiety. And that stress, we're going to talk a bit about stress again today as we talk about emotions later on, but that stressful situation, that stressful idea that what's going to happen? Will I be, will something ever happen again? You know, this anxiety and apprehension will follow throughout life. Every time something new happens, every time something good happening, there's this anxiety that says, okay, something good happened. Do I need to wait for something bad to happen now? Because good happened, I decided to come to this world, and then something bad. Okay, again, this is more about focusing in, not here to get political, of course, not whatsoever. It's not about abortion. Abortion does come for, if we talk about from women's point of view, abortion comes when a woman feels apprehensive and anxiety. She doesn't feel like she has enough resources in this life, whether it's psychological, emotional, mental, or of course, most of the time it's physical. Okay, so one way or another, it's not about placing blame. It's not about finding who is responsible or blaming or anything like that. It's about figuring out what was the fetus's experience and how we can improve it during this rebirthing course, rebirthing situation that we are building ourselves in a controlled environment, okay? Actually, I will do this later. It's interesting to note that it's important. Another challenge that arises is that it's important to start noting that birth is, and we actually discussed that last week as we discussed growth perinatal matrices, the stage 2. It's called separation. The beginning of birth is actually called separation. Birth is a start of separation. Birth is a way to start separating yourself from the mother figure. And that's the beginning. And yes, we tend to form, and our goal is in the beginning years, fetus birth and the first few years, the forming of attachment, but it must be done in a healthy way. It must be done in a way where there is still a separation. The mother has to learn how to separate herself from this person, from this being that was a part of her. For 9 months, she had to think through how to act with the baby, how to be careful, how to be safe, what to eat. And she mostly would make choices that would benefit the baby. Now she has to regain herself. And the same chance comes for the infant who's born, and it's a chance to A, form healthy attachment, but B, learn to function, learn the idea that I am my own being. I'm a separate entity. I'm an individual. And that's something actually the person learns for the next, I would say, even 12 years, right? Up until the teenage years. Teenagers like this manifestation of how much of a separation the person went through. Okay, it's interesting to start noting. I'm going to show you the video. This video is on YouTube. You will, those of you in the course will find it in the, as part of your syllabus or part of your session notes. For those of you in watching the video, it's a 5-minute video. Welcome to watch. It's called The Cord. It's about this attachment that we carry with our mother and how this attachment can sometimes overtake our life. Oh, wait. There you go. Let me make sure. There are no words in here, to be honest with you. So, but I just want to make sure that here it is, optimize for video clip, and let me make sure share sound. Okay. Okay, now you should be able to actually listen. 1 second. Make it full screen. Again, there are no words. There's like some musical accompaniment. So if you don't hear anything, I turned on the sharing noise, but just in case it doesn't, just be aware it's not as important. Just watch the video. Like I said, it's a 6-minute video. About the umbilical cord, the importance of the umbilical cord, the more and more we learn nowadays, as important as it is. The Ukrainian movie. What happened in the movie, she did not let the umbilical cord to be cut, right? And of course, it's very metaphorical. We know physically that's impossible. Metaphorically, she never separated from the child, and of course, as a result, the child never separated from the mother. The instance here is that she's a single mother, she needs somebody. But look what happened. The child, whose umbilical cord went through the proper separation process, feels when the mother is kind of distracted from him, and pull the cord, so to say. Okay, notice the child is sleeping with the mother. The child is growing up, going to school. Anxiety and apprehension about separation. Child is not enjoying school, not able to form social skills and social emotional connection and relationship with others. how many years later the child is grown up, notice the umbilical cord. Most people are unhappy. People are not enjoying the situation. There's nothing they can do. They're just connected. Or they look at it metaphorical. Not before the son will let the mother maybe somebody else now. It's the mother's turn because she feels apprehensive when he is. Of course, as he tries to cut, happens to the mother, she gets anxiety shock, emotional shock, right? Because at that point, they're so used to being connecting together. This is showing that the mother was fired from her job. She's trying to sell clothing. She saw it in the market. The person is nearby, not capable of supporting, not capable of taking his own life, but she's so connected. Happy on their own. We'll talk about it later. It's not babying the mother. Once the mother passes away, the umbilical cord gets cut. But again, it leaves a wake of anxiety and apprehension at the child because of this inability to function on their own, on her own psychological. Okay. Let's get back to our So it's important to start paying attention to this. This is a very powerful film. I remember first watching it and thinking, wow, this really showcasing, demonstrating so many various psychological ideas and thoughts about why separation is important, why it's necessary, how important it is to learn how to bring separation from the very first day. Yes, it's important to form trust, like we talked about it, but the opposite is also not good, right? Forming too much attachment to the child, the inability of the child to function on their own. Let's go further, right? Important to note, one of the major issues that kind of a new finding is what we call a new finding. For the past 30 years, it has come to light much more than earlier. It's something we call postpartum depression. It's about restructuring of the entire life. It's about this exact idea, the idea of separation, learning how to separate from your child, learning how to view yourself as a new individual again, as a distinct individual, not connecting to the baby in the womb. And whenever the mother goes through this, it's important to understand that all of the feelings, all of the thought that she will be experiencing will actually be passing on through the baby. Because yes, even though physically we do cut the umbilical cord, it is impossible to live like it the way it was shown in the cartoon, in the animation. But metaphorically, baby's very much still attached to the mother figure. So it's very important to know this balance where you do get attached to the baby, but then you learn how to separate. And postpartum depression comes as a part of it, as learning to kind of get to know yourself. It's a new body. It's your new emotions, new hormonal balance or disbalance maybe at this point, right? Important to start paying attention. It's important to bring support to the mother at this point. The support should come in the form of a community gathering to help the mother, the father gathering to help the mother, the siblings, the parents, the relatives, the family. Everybody should bring care and concern to the new mother so that she would feel comfortable. It's important to know that when we talk about the image of a mother figure, it's not just the mother. It's also about the mother and the grandmother. It's also about any female figure, authority figure, or significant figure that the child is surrounded with. It could be an aunt. It could be, like I said, a grandmother. It could be a nanny. Female nanny figure will contribute to the collective mother figure. Aunt, older sister, again, all of it will connect and bring forth the collective image of the mother figure, okay? If the mother, for various reasons, for example, cannot be fully with the child, she works or she's sick or not available for every reason, it is important that there is no conflict between the mother and those who perform her duties, right? We know a lot of dramatic stories where grandparents or, I don't know, somebody else, we're going to talk about later, like one of the movies, Stepmother, right? The movie Stepmother with Julia Roberts, where the stepmother would have to take over the duties. And it was a very beautiful movie done at the time, where usually stepmothers would usually be presented in a very negative way. We know from fairy tales and everything. It's very sad to note that stepmothers got such a bad reputation from those fairy tales. I actually studied in depth the idea of various female figures in fairy tales, and it's very concerning to say. I will bring it more as I do the archetypes course, but it's interesting to know that it's very important to pay attention that the child does feel if the mother is being shot, if the mother is being kind of trying to be replaced. Sometimes that happens, grandparents sometimes feel like, I've heard stories, personally heard stories from people where their child would be taken away by their mother because the mother thought that this would be a way to feel young again or something like that. It's, of course, okay, this is not a regular story. I heard a number of stories like that, by the way, but it's not a regular situation. This is a bit of a pathological, a bit of a psychologically unstable situation. So that's something to pay attention. So people do go through that. And we're talking about contemporary people, okay? This mother in specifics, the specific story, the mother actually took away the baby, the firstborn of her daughter. There was a lot of breaking the boundaries. We're talking here about separation. It's about building healthy boundaries with your caregiver, with your mother figure. So when the mother herself, and from my story, from what I heard, that mother herself didn't have healthy boundaries with her parents. So she actually had a similar story where her mother would take her baby. So she thought it was okay to take the baby of her young child, of her daughter, whom she overshadowed her whole life. She would tell her what to do, whom to marry. There was an arranged marriage, and then the baby, the firstborn baby was a daughter, she took it and she adopted that girl. And it was like, that's it. The mother had no say. She was put in a position where she's like, this is the way things are done. in our family, and you can't say otherwise. And it was very concerning because the mother, that woman who is a grown-up woman, she's a grandmother at this point, much older than me, right? But the idea is that she worked her whole life on establishing a relationship with his daughter. Interesting to know that this daughter would never call her mother. She would call her by her first name. And she would always struggle how she would want to be a mother to this woman, to this person who is her daughter, biological, but because of the circumstances that her own mother put her into, she couldn't. So that's something to keep in mind. That does happen. That's something to keep in mind when we work with our clients or we work with ourselves. It's interesting to note. So yeah, it's important that there is no conflict between the mother and those who perform the duties, right? And the mother does not destroy the attachment that the child has. So the optimal figure to take care of the child would be the mother. Many studies, research studies show. However, we know life doesn't work like that, right? Life is not perfect. Life does not necessarily work like that. So as a result, what happens is that the child may feel disruption. Okay, so it's very important if there is a substitute figure or another figure working together with the mother, that there is peace between them, that there is communication, there is support between each other, as this would lead to a better trust and attachment establishment with the mother, with the child. And various distortions as we have in the relationship, right? The mother-son distortion would bring a mother who raises a greenhouse flower, not a man, a mother who constantly watches over her son, who doesn't allow him to bring forth his masculine energy, his masculine form of expression. Again, we're going to talk about expressing various types of emotions and how it comes in. If a mother does not allow the boy to kind of play sport or do things that we in the society consider to be generally masculine expressions, in a way they do have some background to it, right? I'm not here to talk about not allowing your child to play. You're not allowing your son to play with the dollhouse. I think we discussed it in the 2 sessions ago. The opposite here. Not allowing your son to participate in sports, not allowing your son to have rough play with other boys, right? Basically allowing your son expressions of masculine energy within. That would also bring down, will kind of create some kind of distortion within the boy, that of a healthy connection to the masculine energy, okay? Another important distortion of the family system is that the mother would put the son subconsciously. Of course, we're not talking about consciously. Consciously, very rarely somebody does it. That's pathology, that's psychiatry already. We're not dealing with that. We're talking about psychologically. Subconsciously, the woman would treat her son as her husband. Of course, most of the time it's single woman, but sometimes it's important to note that it's also married women do that too. If the husband is not available, if there is, for whatever reason, if the place of a husband is empty, emotionally, mentally, physically, it often happens that the mother would place her son into that slot. Because we remember, if you need more understanding about the way family systems work, let me know. I have an open video. I can post it for you here. But that's what it is. Those of you watching on YouTube, you can just search for Lana Shalom family system and it will come up. But this is the idea that there's no empty spots in the family system. The family system operates mother, father, child, parents. Okay, if somebody is absent for whatever reason, emotionally, mentally, physically, then somebody else must fill the spot. Most of the time for the husband, it's the son. And the opposite also happens for the fathers. Most of the time for the For the wife, if she's not available for whatever reason, again, and like I said, mentally, emotionally, physically, a lot of time the father will place the daughter in that slot and treat the daughter like he would treat the wife, and it's very disconcerting. I've seen this many times in my practice, and it's something to be paid attention. Another thing, let's pay attention. Another type of it's called the castrating mother figure. Okay, this is the mother figure that will kill all of the masculine energy within her son. Basically kills or destroys the energy, the strength of realization, not allowing any possibility for the son to express themselves, whether again physically, emotionally, mentally, kind of overtaking, over controlling everything, telling the child that you are not capable of anything, you are nothing, just like your father, connecting, always referring to the father and saying, you know, that person, you're just like him, in a condescending way, in a negative way. You're just like him, you're a loser, you're just like him, you can't amount to anything, you're just like him, you can't make money, you're just like him. For a baby would shame or even hit for, and we're talking about previous times when people would grow up without diapers, right? And it would be just materials, would shame or hit a child for wetting themselves too much, for not carrying out the toilet needs, the toilet training as she expects, right? Later on, when the child grows up, remember, this is a controlling mother. It could be also for involuntary erection, right? She would control the child by insinuating that this is a sin, this is a shame, this is wrong. Although we all know this is a natural human masculine reaction to various things that's happening in their life, right? What else? There is an interesting notion of something called good enough mother. Okay, this came from the term came from Donald Wood's Winnicott, right? And this is a quote I posted, right? I would rather be the child of a mother who has all the inner conflicts of the human being than be smothered by someone for whom all is easy and smooth, who knows all the answers and is a stranger to doubt. Okay, it's a very important concept nowadays. Okay, we're going to further talk about various other distortion, various other challenges that arise with various mother figure elements. But it's important to note that it's important not to want to, you know what, I'm going to talk about it later, actually. I realize I should put it in a later area. Another distortion that comes is called the conflict of loyalty, like I'm showing here. Sometimes the child is placed in the middle, in this case specifically, let's say between, remember we talked about it, it's important for whoever is taking care of the child, together with the mother figure or in place of the mother figure, that they would have a good relationship with the mother, because the child, whether they're with their own mother or kind of separated for whatever reason, the mother is working, sick, or not able for whatever reason, and the child is being taken care of by somebody else. It's important that the child still physically, that was the reason I showed you that cartoon, that even though we cut the umbilical cord, there is this inner psychological part of the umbilical cord that we constantly connect, and we connect to the mother. Okay, it's important. In this case, it's what? It's the mother and the grandmother. Okay, and the child is put in a position where he has to choose. Okay, and that's poses lots of psychological issues, anxiety, apprehension, fear, inability to express themselves openly, because they have to think about whether their expression will it harm the mother, might it harm the grandmother. Both are important figures, both are important motherly figures in their life, right? If the mother, let's say, works a lot and the grandmother takes care, could also be the nanny, or like I said, the aunt, or any other female person, female figure. right? This idea of the trauma of connection, of entanglement, right? It creates within a child this need to kind of divide. Do I do this or do I do that? Do I take mother's side or grandmother's side? And at one point, it depends on the personality of the child, whether the child is a pleaser or whether the child has a very strong inner personality. Then they will choose to do whatever is in their best interest, just so you know. Okay. Another aspect, the absent or the abandoning mother figure, okay? The mother that comes as a son and then disappears. She tells the child she goes to the bathroom. She tells the child this actually happens on the earlier level. Let's say even a mother who's constantly there for the child. We all know this, right? The inability to use the bathroom, right? When even going to the bathroom, it's like the child is like, will come and say, "Mommy, where are you?" Right? And this is the idea. This is what I was talking about, separation, connecting to your individual needs, connecting to your individual self, understanding that this child is yours for a certain number of years. You have a responsibility of taking care of the child, but this is not your child to keep for the rest of your life. You have your own life. You have to make your own attachments, let's put it this way, forming your own relationship with people, with opposites, people of opposite sex, for some people of the same sex, spouses, relationship with other adults, right? The children should not be your whole life. Okay, that's an interesting. Also, this could happen if the mother works a lot, if the mother is not so much in the child's life, but she does appear sometimes saying that, and people refer to her as a mother, but let's say if the child's taken care of by a grandmother or a nanny, this child has, like I said, physically, there's a connection to the mother, no matter what you say. And depending on the child's personality, if the child is a realist, the child may say, I don't want this mother, she's abandoning me. Maybe I will choose not to be with her altogether. But if the child is one of those imaginative children, then the child could actually do the opposite, idealize, fantasize about this perfect idea of a child, fantasize about this idealized mother coming and rescuing them, all this, fairy tale style thinking. And of course, once reality comes and it doesn't happen, the child becomes what? Disillusioned and of course depressed, upset, and again, harsh emotions may arise. The next distortion is about the mother who wants to let go. Okay, we saw that in the movie, The Umbilical Cord, right? It's about saying, I gave my whole life to you, now you owe me. And the child becomes the meaning of life. The child becomes the main goal in life. Everything is done for the child. And then, of course, the child grows up and wants to go on his or her own. But the mother says, it's actually, now that I spend my whole life with you, you owe me back. Right? This inability, and of course, we understand psychologically, it's codependency. It's a mother doesn't feel like she had enough resources to live on her own. That's why she didn't form separation in the first place appropriately. And as a result, she becomes codependent and she feels like her child is the one who carries resources. Of course, it's about, with sons, it's usually placing the son in front, in the place of a husband, because it's usually the husband's, kind of, I would say, space to bring support and care to the spouse again. And that's what the idea. And of course, with the girls, it's about, if we talk about it psychologically, it's putting in the place of a mother figure herself. So mother herself has an issue with her mother, and she will express it with the relationship with the daughter. This also shows itself in such instances that as soon as the child kind of separates physically, emotionally, the mother starts what? The mother starts feeling sick. She starts getting sick, right? It's psychosomatic, of course, but that's what it is. It's, again, a distortion we need to pay attention to. The next step we have, and you can see here, this is the movie. I'm trying to remember. This is the movie with, what's his name? He's one of my favorite actors. Of course, Kathy Bates and her son, who is played by, oh my God, I forgot him, the Southern actor. He actually even has a Southern accent. The Southern actor. He plays in, let me find him. Right, it's Matthew McConaughey, okay? And the movie is Failure to Launch, right? About the son who lives in his parents' home for like, up until he's like 30 or 40. So they have to hire a woman who will kind of get him fall in love with her and want to marry her, of course, played by Sarah Jessica Parker. I didn't like the movie that much. To me, it wasn't like that interesting, but the concept itself is very interesting, okay? This is about the fact, it's about the mother who doesn't realize her own emotions. She doesn't recognize her own emotions, right? So she feels this, again, codependency upon her son. She's afraid to live on her own. She's afraid that the child is going to leave her. And it's about understanding that we have our own traumas. We have our own unresolved traumas, unresolved stories that we need to work on, right? And the children can get entangled, it's called. Psychological term is get entangled within those stories if we don't resolve them. So it's something to pay attention to. Okay. The next one is the mother figure that lives vicariously through her children, right? She will say, look, I couldn't marry a rich person, but you will, right? What is that? Great Expectations, right? By Charles Dickens, right? You couldn't marry a rich person. I couldn't marry a rich person, but you will. I couldn't become an architect, but you will. I couldn't, it's about saying you are a continuation of what I am. And that means both physically and metaphorically, emotionally, mentally. You are here on this earth to continue to carry on my dreams, my fantasies, my imagination, what I want to achieve in life. And that is wrong on many, many levels. We talk about it, we work on it in Goals and Values course. You have your own goal in life. You have your own soul mission in life. It's very important not to get entangled with other figures. Most of the time it happens in a family level. And it's about learning, okay? It's about, this kind of mother also is about controlling the child, because this is how she feels powerful. The child is younger, smaller, you are bigger, so you can take over the child's life. Of course, when the child grows up and tries to separate by many various ways, physically, emotionally, the mother has a hard time letting go. And she will continue to get controlling, to get involved, and do everything she can. The next type is called the dead mother figure. It could also be, it could be, we're not talking, by the way, the physical. We're going to talk about that later. That's the absent mother. But we're talking about the mother who is experiencing pain and trauma during pregnancy or the first year of life of the baby. The child, the mother who doesn't have any resources for life, the mother who is highly depressed, and we're talking about clinical depression, the mother who is thinking about suicide, the mother who is shunning her own emotions. She doesn't feel connected to life. She doesn't want to be connected to life. That's called emotional dead mother, or yeah, the mother who is not connected to life. Okay, something again to pay attention to. Now, this is what we're talking about, the absence of a mother figure altogether. Okay, when the child grows up, even I could say in the orphanage, but in the orphanage, most of the time the people who take care of the babies are ladies. So there is some kind of mother figure But of course, there is no formation of any attachment because they're changed a lot, right? The worst is to lose a mother, right? When Renee Spitz opened up hospitals, and originally the idea of hospitals, the place was done in order to take care of babies whose parents were sick, and whose parents were absent. And it was shown, the research showed that a lot of time babies would either be developmentally delayed or they would even refuse food. And they would even if they would be taken care of physically, they would pass away because they didn't feel connection to life. Also, like I mentioned, there could be, like, if the child is in the foster care system where there are different families taking care, so there's not one strong attachment being formed by fusion, right? The child feels like there is no mother, okay? A lot of times this person will make a decision, will come to a conclusion that there shouldn't be any relationship in my life for various reasons. It's too painful, people leave me, people abandon me, people reject me because there is no mother. Again, it leads to the original traumas. The original traumas are connected to trauma of rejection, trauma of abandonment. For boys, it's abandonment. For girls, it's rejection most of the time. So a lot of time when people grow up without a mother figure, without a connection to the mother, without feeling like they have a mother, they will come up with a conclusion that, oh, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to create a relationship. There are no friendships, there are no relationships also. It's very hard because they don't know how to handle relationship. There is no modeling of this attachment. Attachment is really forming relationship, learning how to form relationships in a healthy way. If there is no practice and there is no understanding and modeling, children have a hard time actually putting it in practice, right? It can be compared to, the parallel would be the formation of speech. It has been proven by research that children who were found like Tarzans, who grew up in the woods with animals, and there was no speech. There was sounds of speech, sounds like animals, but there's no formation of intelligent speech where human beings are capable of doing it, connecting the mind, the creativity, the formation with the way to connect the letters and create sounds, connect sounds and create words that are meaningful, and then putting them further into grammatical syntaxes, making sentences. It's important to note that those children, when they grow up, without any modeling, A, modeling of human speech, B, practice of human speech, modeling comes first. They never learn how to speak. It has been proven. Research has been done with many various children. Tarzan is just an example, but many there were a lot of instances where babies, children, or adults in this case. By the way, when they're found as babies or children, they are able to speak because they learn, right? Depending on how old the child is. Babies for sure learn. Children may learn. Adults never learn. If a person is found as an adult, grew up without any human interaction, there's no formation of speech, the person will never be able to form speech. Same thing happens with a relationship. Humans who grow up without any modeling of any relationship, any modeling of any attachment, they will grow up without having that theory in mind or having that practice in life. So that's important to note. That can be alleviated, that can be worked on, psychological. This is the premises of a neurographic method. Anything and everything is possible. I recently heard Pavel speak again, and that was the main idea. Every time I listened to him, I was listening about something else, about the metamodern, about the Bogoban, the new chords that I started. And that's the idea that I got. I always learn something new from him. He's a very versatile person, very learned, very intellectual. And that's the idea. And he said, and I remember that was the very first promise that I would even tell people about NeuroGraphica. Anything is possible, everything is possible, right? So psychologically, remember, speech has to do with physical, the way the tongue is formed. But psychologically, this idea about relationships, it's not a doom. Oh my God, I never had it. That's it. I'm doomed. No, there's no such thing. Psychologically, there is a possibility for this to develop. Anything and everything is possible. Speech is a different instant because there is tongue involved, the formation of the muscles of the mouth. Okay. I actually studied a bit about speech pathology. So I helped somebody who was studying to become a speech pathology write I helped somebody doing research. So I remember actually being a part of it. So that's interesting to know. And the child, oh yeah, like I said, what's next? The next figure we want to discuss in the distortions and challenges with the mother figure, establishing attachments and relationships, is the mother that's a giving and taking away mother. Okay, it's important to know that children, when they're young, very young, they're about they connect to their mother as a form of authority, and for them, because they don't have their own form of identity or form of values and understanding about the world, they just take upon themselves the values and identity and understanding of the world the way their mother conveys it to them. And by conveying it to them, I do mean not just saying it, but also, I mean, not just saying it, but also thinking, relationship with others, expressing with others, and that's the idea, right? The mother will always, so for the child, the mother is always right. Again, on the very young level. Later, when teenager comes, right? That's the whole idea of teenagehood, is that to prove that maybe the mother wasn't right. I need to explore this part on my own. But in the beginning, for the newborn, for the infant, for the child, up until the age, I would say 7, 8, when children start going to school, and a different type of mental development occurs, their idea is that the mother is always right. My mother, I can trust the mother infinitely, always, forever. And if the mother said that maybe, I should just go and do this, I will go and do this. Even if the instinctual situation, even the child feel instinctual, this may not be safe. If the mother says, go, try walking, the child will try walking. The child will try something just because the mother says. So the mother is an absolute authority figure. And like I said, up until I would say 5, 6, 7, okay? It's at this stage that what occurs is that the child kind of, because doesn't have enough identity on their own, they don't trust their own values, they don't trust their own instincts actually based on the values of the soul. Okay, whatever is the soul, the values of the soul gained as a result of previous karmic regenerations, right? In this lifetime, the child, the newborn, or the child will not pay attention to their instincts, because to them, the mother is the authority figure, their own chosen authority. It's like they're democratically chosen president of their country, so to say, president of their identity, so to say, right? And that's the idea. But we know presidents are not perfect, right? And that's the idea. Mothers cannot be perfect. Sometimes they make wrong choices, but the child doesn't fully understand that mother may make the wrong choice, make a mistake. She may feel bad about it. So anything that the mother does will bring high importance to the child. The mother is everything and anything to the child. And that's why this figure, the mother who shows her that she's the one in control, she fully controlled everything. She's the one who decides what to give and what to take. She is in full control. Okay, it's very important to pay attention to this. Okay, it's very important to learn to give children a sense of control, to give children choices. But there are parents, there are mothers who don't do that. They didn't get that when they were children, of course. Everything comes from modeling, like I said. So as a result, they behave the same way with their own child. So again, from our point of view, we are looking at everything from the child's point of view. It's important to pay attention. We may have this inner feeling that somebody else decided for us what we need, what we get, what we don't get, decided somebody else kind of formed our boundaries for us. But now we're adults. We need to learn how to do it ourselves, right? The next distortion we want to talk about is the infantile mother figure. Infantile mother figure is a mother who is like, who's very mature. She's like a child herself. She cannot make her own decisions. She depends on somebody else. She cannot fully take care of somebody. She feels like she doesn't have support from anyone. So she tends to overwhelm her children with her own emotions, with decision making, saying, "Oh, what do you think we should do?" You know, the child is a young child. The child should not be responsible for making life-altering decisions. Okay, the mother is an adult. The mother has to find somebody, has to find a support system within other adults, parents, spouse, significant other, psychologist, friend, somebody who she can share her adult feelings with, that that person would not be overwhelmed, but rather the opposite, give support and give necessary strength, give resources, help that mother find resources. When the mother shares, overwhelms her child, the child will either feel inability to deal and will automatically form this notion that I must save, I'm a savior, right? The savior complex is formed within the child, that the mother is the closest. Remember, the mother is the authority figure. The mother is the closest there is. There is a metaphorical umbilical cord still holding them. So the child will feel responsible for the mother. This also happens when the mother threatens the child that if you don't do this, I may die, I may get sick, you're making me not safe. You know, again, turning the roles around, making the child responsible for whichever the mother is supposed to take care of. Okay, notice the picture. The child is taking care of the mother. The child is parenting the mother, which is a big no-no in the way the family system works. Okay, family system, parent take care of the children. Children do not take care of the parents. Parents give resources to the children. Children do not give resources back to the parent. But children turn around and give resources to their own children. When in this case, children will not have resources to give to anybody else because they are busy taking care of the mother. Again, remember the animation was so the umbilical cord. The next one is the cruel mother figure. Okay, the mother who hits the child, who shakes the child, who is consciously or not consciously brings harm to the child physically, or we will also mention emotionally, mentally, consciously doing so purposefully. Okay, the child who belittles, insults the individuality of a child, the mother who insults the individuality, the personality of the child, right? Calls name, constant devaluation of the child as a human, right? Then there is a mother who is a hyper or overprotective mother. All she does is think about the child. She doesn't have her own life. She doesn't have her separation. She doesn't have her own goals in life. She constantly live in this state of fear or worry or anxiety about the child, about the life of the child, which will bring to this constant control, over controlling of the child's life. What did you do? Did you eat? Did you go to the bathroom? Did you do homework? And this can go on up until the child is an adult, right? We know parents like this, the child is adult, has his own kids, her own kids. they talk to the parent, to the mother, and the mother is like, don't talk back to me, or don't tell me what to do, or you should answer the question that I'm telling you. That's treating your child as not an individual, as somebody who is there only for you to exert control over. Okay? This hyper control, hyper protection, overprotection brings to the point where the child does not have any individuality, any independence. The child doesn't feel the necessity or the resource in life outside, the ability to create, to make mistakes, and within stays, we're going to talk about it again, in emotion stays and festers lots of resentment, lots of anger that will look for a way to come out. The ignoring mother figure, okay? It's very important for the child to feel needed, to feel seen, to feel heard, to be heard. And the first person we talked about it is the mother figure. So the mother figure is kind of acknowledging the presence, the existence of the child. Remember the phrase is you exist, okay? I exist, okay? When a mother pays attention to the child, the energy flows to that child. Okay, if the mother is not focused on the child feels very uncomfortable. He feels that he doesn't get enough energy from the mother. As a result, there comes a thinking that I'm not worthy enough for mother's love, for mother's attention. I have to deserve mother's love in the form of good grades, proper behavior, concealing my true emotions, not expressing emotions, acting a certain way, doing certain things, loving somebody like a sibling a certain way. That's the only way to be seen, to be heard, and to be deserving of love, attention, and appreciation. The doormat mother figure is a kind of mother who has a very weak will, okay? Remember, for the mother, for the child, the mother is an authority figure. This is the way, the person who will support, who will protect. The doormat, the mother who has a very weak will, she will not protect the child, okay? She cannot protect herself, she cannot protect the child. And the child will feel like I have no strength, I have no one to take care of me. Personally, it will definitely bring some kind of anger, resentment, but it comes from feeling powerless. Okay, powerless in the face of fear, some kind of danger. When there is an unsafe situation, it's a mother's responsibility to take care of it and to resolve it. That the child will always feel safe. If the child sees that the mother is not taking care of it, the child will feel constant anxiety, apprehension, because as a physical level, too small to take care of it, and nobody else taking care of it. So again, comes to this realization: life is not trustful, life is not trustworthy, life is not safe. The handicapped mother figure, again, we're talking handicap as in not physically, but rather psychologically. It's a mother who will traumatize the child, who will manipulate the child, that you cannot live without me. I'm the only one who can take care of you. You are very weak. I am very weak, right? You will get sick if I'm not next to you. If somebody else does something. The idea that I'm the only one who can be next to you, I'm the only one who can take care of you, I'm the only person in the world you need. And that will bring lots of stress and trauma and inability to form relationships later in life. The loss of a mother figure is about actual physical loss of the mother. Okay, the child who loses the mother loses the part of the world, half of the world, okay? And if there is no father figure around, then the child loses the world, okay? And it depends on the age of the child. If it's until the age of 2, the child actually loses the whole world because the father figure is not as relevant in that age stage. If there is a person who will take care of the child, who will be that significant other, then the psychological effect may not be that dire. This is a picture from the movie Jersey Girl, right? With Ben Affleck, who is a single father left to take care of the baby girl, right? It's important as a child grows up to allow the child to ask questions about the real mother and tell them what happened to the real mother, and allow the child, again, when we talk about it, as we talk about emotions, allow the child to process the emotions of grief, process the emotion of loss, to allow the child to say goodbye to the mother in their own way. Okay, protect and overprotect the child from pain. We're going to talk about it. Legitimizing emotions, containing emotions, is an inability to go forward. It's arrested development. The smothering mother, is the kind of mother, she's a perfectionist, right? We talked about it, right? This is where I brought down the idea of good enough mother, but this is the opposite. This is the mother who will do everything, right? This minivan driving mother, taking her children to all kind of after school activities and being a good housewife and being this perfectionized ideal. Okay, we all know there's nobody perfect. The idea of perfectionized is kind of have been used and overused in psychology and even pop psychology so much that we all kind of understand that this perfectionized idea is not the way human beings are. This is the way we convince ourselves because maybe we didn't get enough love, enough attention from somebody who is a significant adult in our life, mother, father, or somebody else. And we started thinking that maybe being perfect, being perfectionized is the way to get that love, attention, appreciation, value in life, right? So that's important to understand. This term, the perfect or smothering mother, is the mother who tries so hard to be a perfect mother, but it will backfire because the truth is she's so focused on taking care of other people's needs, the children needs, the family need, her partners, her husbands, her wives, her husbands, or significant others' needs, that she tends to play down her own needs. Okay, this is the picture. I forgot her name, the name of the character from Desperate Housewives, right? She was this kind of character of this perfect mother who did everything perfect, and people would like, all the other mothers would feel like, I'm never good enough to be like her, right? So of course, this is where, all right, her name is Brie Vandekamp, right? By the way children protest, young children may not notice, but then when they grow up, teenagers and adults, this is about protesting, or either constant trying to be as perfect as my mother was, or saying, you know what, I don't want to be like you. You are too good at tissues for me, and lots of protest, lots of acting out comes from there. Okay, this is where I want to bring the term a good enough mother. It's almost a complete adaptation to her infant's needs. But as time proceeds, and this is where the separation, this is how separation should work. As time proceeds, she adapts less and less completely, gradually, according to the infant's growing ability to lead with her failure. The infant's failure to adapt, or the child at this point, failure to adapt to every need. Oh, the mother's failure to adapt to every need to the child helps them actually adapt to external reality. Smothering the child, saying, I'll take care of every single need that you have, will not give enough kind of strength, will not convey the message to the child that you can take care of yourself on a certain level. I will meet you in the beginning 100% when you're in the womb, then once out of the womb, I will meet you maybe 95, 90%, 85, lessening gradually until you get to the point where the child becomes a teenager. And at that point, you get to 20%, maybe even less if necessary, depends on different children. And you say, yeah, you can take care of yourself. Ambivalent feelings between the mother and the child. Ambivalency in the mother-child relationship. It's about this duality. It's about the duality of constantly feeling love and then also maybe some resistance, right? I love my mother, but I feel resistant. Like I don't want to do things the way she did. I don't want to cook the chicken the way she did. I don't want to marry the same kind of person. I don't want to have the same amount of children that my mother had. That's natural. That's the way people develop, okay? This is the way we do things, okay? You can love your child and you can, and the same thing happens with the mother. Sometimes the mother loves her child no matter what the whole life. But sometimes resentment will come up. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's subconscious, right? But this ambivalence is always present. Okay, the mother can be resentful. Oh, I spent my time on you. I spent my years. I took care of you. You owe me back. Okay, this needs to be taken care of. If we follow this rule that we said that slow adaptation to the child's needs and letting go of the child, right? This is where the mother will feel the separation is very important. The mother will get this grip that I have my own needs. I have other things to take care of. So my child grows up and becomes a teenager, that becomes adults, gets married, have their own children. I will always provide support and love. And that's what we say in the phrases, right? But it's not the whole purpose of my life. I have other things to take care of my life. I have other values, other needs, other things I'm interested in. Okay. Interesting movies that will kind of about the relationship between children and parents, mothers and children. The Secret Life of Bees, right here, right? One of them, Dakota Fanning, is playing the role of an orphan. Juno, right? She's a teenager herself and she's about to become a mother and she gets support from her other significant female figures around her, right? All the Boys I Loved Before. I actually want to watch this quite some time. It's on my list. It's a very good coming of age movie also, right? And it's about connecting the father figure, the mother figure, right? And of course, Stepmom I mentioned before with Julia Roberts, how she learns to be a stepmother and learns how is it to feel somebody else's shoes, a mother who's like this perfectionized kind of mother. And it's about forming a relationship with the kids who are losing their mother. Okay. We are finished with the mother. Let me go. We will be exploring the womb labyrinth later on in the practical session. We will be actually walking through the womb labyrinth. I will explain to you what it's about. For now, for those of you watching, welcome to register and take advantage of the full course, all of the practical session, all of the drawings. We do a drawing each session. Welcome to join us. You can watch the rest of the previous sessions in the recording, and you can either join me for live sessions or you can, again, continue watching the recording. A great, great course to join. Okay, the special introductory price, while the course is still going, is $158, and it contains actually not 10, but 11, because I gave a complimentary growth matrices session here. Registration is NeuroGraphicUSA.com. You can try LanaShalom.com, but some countries in Europe told me they couldn't get through. So NeuroGraphicUSA.com definitely works. Thank you for joining me, and I'm looking forward to sharing more information with you. Enjoy the rest of your day.